It's 8 a.m. in Tenerife. A hungover tourist is peeling his face off the street as Spanish commuters swerve to avoid him. Little do they know, it's Jack Grealish. From Vegas benders to Man City sex parties, this is the story of the nation's rowdy younger brother. Welcome back to The Upshot. I'm Jack. Zach is here as always.
Hello, mate.
And we are joined by a new guest. It's Ruth Husko.
Hello.
Comedian and writer and Twitter star. A lot of you will know her from Twitter. Her gags, where your name is Dank_Ackroyd.
That's right, yeah.
Or search Ruth Husko.
Yeah.
Excellent. Welcome
Thank you.
to discuss Jack Grealish. Everyone loves him, don't they?
Yeah, my mum adores him. When I told her I was doing this, she was really excited. She doesn't know about all of his shenanigans, though.
Yeah,
which
there
we'll
are.
get into.
But does she fancy him? Because I feel like everyone fancies him.
I think she does. Yeah, she just thinks he's a very nice boy.
Yeah.
Which he seems to be, but he's also got colourful
Yeah,
antics off the pitch.
Because he's like lovely. You often see him going the extra mile with fans. Like I know a lot of players do a lot for fans, but he really goes the extra mile. He like does celebrations for them and stuff, and like did he learn sign language? Or I imagine this
Sounds like something he'd do.
Yeah, I would definitely say he goes the extra mile, but he's also obviously got this wild side. I feel like he's just the right amount of naughty for everyone to like love him.
Yeah, I was saying this to you earlier that I kind of didn't like him that much when he first appeared. He just seemed like a little bit of a cocky fuck. And then, I don't know, maybe it was since he started playing well for England that I suddenly was like, oh my God, he's like when he's on your side, then he's just great. But I think he's funny and he just seems real in interviews as well.
Yeah, definitely. He's very funny and unintentionally funny as well. Sometimes they're my favourite bits.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, and it's just so natural with him. There was like a high point maybe like 2 years ago, the World Cup in Qatar maybe, where it seemed like everyone was just in love with him. He was like the guy, loads of straight blokes were like, yeah, that's the guy I would pick. And do you remember his calves were like a national obsession?
That's the thing, yeah. I was looking at his hair as well.
Yeah.
His hair looks like a transplant, right? But it can't be. I don't think it is. But his hairline is so like forward and it's so thick.
What, and then you've just got the curtains coming.
Yeah, just those big thick curtains.
Are they bangs? Is that what bangs are?
I'd say they were curtains.
Okay,
yeah, bangs is like a fringe.
All right, Zach, do you want to take us back to Jack's
Back
youth?
to the start. Yeah, so Jack was born in Birmingham. He grew up in Solihull, which is sort of the outskirts of Birmingham. You were saying it's sort of the posh part of Birmingham.
Yeah, we wouldn't say that. I'm from the Black Country, not Birmingham. Got to state that. But it's Solihull. If someone says they're from Solihull, you're like, oh, you're not from Birmingham then, because it's really posh.
Is that like a derogatory nickname, like Wool for Liverpool?
There's not, no. We'd just say poshos,
Yeah.
millionaire.
That's not the impression I had of Jack.
Yeah.
So he played for a local kids team when he was growing up and was scouted for Villa already when he was 6. Apparently he carried on playing for his old team on the sly though, and he'd often get scouted by other scouts at tournaments, and his dad would tell them that his name was Jack Greaves so that he didn't get in trouble with Villa. Grew up in a very Irish family as well, so he had 3 Irish grandparents, played Gaelic football until he was 14, at which point I think Villa caught wind of this and were a bit like, please stop doing that, like you are going to get injured. Because he famously played for Ireland up until under 21, so he had 19 caps for Ireland, alongside famously his England teammate Declan Rice. And we talked about this on our Euros preview episode, but when Declan was asked about playing for Ireland, he replied, "As you can tell from my voice, I'm English and I always have been," which was slightly hard to believe when you saw his tweet from his Ireland days. When he tweeted, "My brother, up the rah, wait till we draw England."
So Declan Rice was a
Declan Rice was nailed on. I'm not sure. Not sure if Jack Grealish ever nailed his flag to the mast of republicanism, but you never know. Maybe he did. But anyway, back at Villa, he was beginning to make a name for himself, both on and off the pitch. So he had this loan spell at Notts County, and then broke into the Villa team first in 2014. He was 18, so pretty young. It was kind of the following season that he really cemented his place, though. There's a bit of a furore halfway through the season because he was pictured like honking on a balloon of laughing gas, which the Daily Mail branded his hippie crack shame.
Hippie crack.
That's the stuff my mum doesn't know about.
Oh, right.
Hippie yeah. I think that I feel like that he was one of the first ones to get caught up in this Daily Mail like, moral panic that they had about hippie crack. Hippie crack's just such a funny name.
But it's a term that no one who actually has ever touched a laughing gas balloon would use, I guess. Do you remember also before that there was methadone when I was at uni? That was like that was the new drug scare, and they called it meow meow.
Yeah, meow meow. Oh my god, that's like disappeared, hasn't it?
It's back. It's back now.
Is it back?
Yeah.
It's like Spice. You don't hear about Spice anymore.
I always in jail. It's still quite big, isn't it?
I've not been recently.
Yeah, I think apparently I don't know why. If it's like quite easy to get in there, or
it's
all hippie crack.
I don't know where you buy it from, but the thing about the laughing gas is I didn't realise that like this is how naive I am about drugs and stuff like this. Like I was like, oh, are people just doing it so you get a high voice and it's a banter? I didn't know.
Helium.
Like, you get a funny voice for like 10 seconds. Not that you get high off it.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, I only realised that about 6 months ago.
To be fair, the helium high voice is quite boorish as well. My son just turned 1 and I've been hitting that balloon all week.
It is addictive. I used to work in a game shop, and for some reason we had a helium canister, and people would just be like all day off it. Yeah,
so good.
I'd love that if that was the Daily Mail's new moral panic, which is like Jack Grealish and Raheem Sterling sitting around.
Yeah, squeaky voice shame.
It is funny. Yeah.
Anyway, that season, Villa get to the FA Cup final, and he's pretty unbelievable in the semi-final. They beat Liverpool. He sets up the winner. They end up losing the final 4-0 to Arsenal, though, which is a bit of a disappointment. So you can't blame him for unwinding on a lad's trip to Tenerife that summer. And this is like classic 19-year-old's holiday. They're out on the strip, awful nightclubs, necking like buckets of lurid cocktails. And one night, Jack gets especially smashed. And also out that night is a girl called Bryony King. So Bridie's she's been out. She's stumbling home at 8 a.m. The sun's up. Spanish commuters are on their way to work. And she gets an overpowering waft of tequila and spots a paralytic tourist passed out in the middle of the road, surrounded by packs of cigarettes. So, she has the normal response and takes pictures and posts them online. She has no idea that it is, in fact, England prospect Jack Grealish.
I think my favourite is the long range shot where he's just sprawled.
Yeah, and the packets of
10 packs of fags.
Yes,
that's a real teenage move.
Oh yeah.
Probably menthol.
He looks very young in these pictures. So he's sort of spread eagled in the middle of the road. There's nobody else around him.
It looks like in the In-Betweeners film they like stay in that like really shit hotel, like Soviet building. It looks a bit like that.
So this unsurprisingly ends up going viral on Twitter, and Jack replies, "I'm on the floor apparently."
Well, what else can you say? Yeah. You're banged to rights. Yeah. You're on the floor. Lean into it.
Yeah. It's just that's what happened. His brother also weighs into it. He tweets, "So sad how Jack can't be left alone even on his 4 weeks of holiday." Which is like, honestly, like he's passed out on the street at 8 a.m. I think leaving him alone is probably the worst thing you could do.
Yeah.
At least put him in the recovery position. Do rate that though, that he's just having a normal teenage holiday. It doesn't even look flashy.
That's a very Birmingham person thing to do. Go to Tenerife, is it?
Yeah.
Tenerife. Yeah, and have a massive blowout.
Yeah. Have you ever been?
I haven't. I've never been on a holiday like that. They've all been quite sedate.
Cultured and tasteful.
I wouldn't say that. I've been to an all-inclusive. I love the all-inclusive, but they've never been... no, they've just never... Maybe there's still time for me.
There is?
There's still time for me to pass out on the floor, surrounded by 10 packs of fags. There's still time,
I feel like that's sort of Jack's natural habitat, really.
Yeah, definitely.
That kind of scene. He gets into a bit more trouble the following season. So he's at an all-night party in a room at the Park Regis Hotel in Birmingham. One of the other guests reported The noise was incredible. There were huge numbers of people inside the room, and it was lawless. So
Lawless.
Lawless. The hippie crack. The smell of hippie crack
It was flowing.
all these squeaky voices in the room that couldn't get a wink of sleep. It's like Mickey Mouse was in there. So the police end up being called at 7:45 a.m. by a panicked staff member when guests refused to leave.
Do we know who he's with then?
No, I'm not sure. So they were out celebrating a 0-0 draw with Ipswich.
I mean,
the
you
previous
have to.
day.
You have to.
When you draw 0-0 with Ipswich, you
Yeah.
simply have to.
Red letter day. By this point, though, Grealish is really a star in the Villa team. They end up being relegated in 2016, but he stays with them, which the fans love. You know, he's a real hero to them. He's supported the club for his whole life. He gets made captain in 2019. Being such a die-hard villain does attract some unwanted attention, though. So it's March 2019. Villa are playing their hated rivals Birmingham City at St Andrews, Championship derby, and it's a very heated game. Grealish, I think, kind of thrives in those environments, having a bit of back and forth with the crowd. Goes a bit far, though, and a fan runs on in the 10th minute and punches him in the back of the head.
She's done extraordinarily well to stay calm there. No, words just absolutely fail me. Grealish. On he goes. Yes, there it is. A sweet, sweet moment for Jack Grealish.
Best day of my life. To come here, for the first time, obviously captain Aston Villa and scored a winner. It's what dreams are made of, especially for me being an Aston Villa fan.
So he doesn't actually mention the fact that he got punched in the back of the head.
Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty incredible. So he obviously there's that punch, which is pretty horrible, and then he recovers, scores the winning goal, and declares it the best day of his life in his post-match interview.
Yeah. I should say Ruth texted me 20 minutes before we came on the air saying, "You do know I know nothing about football." And I said, "This isn't really about football."
It's probably a good time for me to say that I've only ever been to one football match, and it was arranged when I was working at the University of Birmingham, and we needed like a team night out. Someone was like, "Oh, let's go to a local football match," and it was Birmingham City versus Sunderland on a wet Tuesday in February. I think it was maybe it's 3-1 to Birmingham City, and I can't stress this strongly enough. The stadium smelt of shit. Look, it was just what it was like on that night. It was a bleak evening.
It was Birmingham so there was a curse that was allegedly put on the Birmingham City ground by, I think they built it on like a burial ground or something.
Yeah.
That's why it fucking stinks.
And then, this manager Barry Fry like caught wind of this curse, and he was told that the only way to break the curse was by pissing on the four corners of the ground. so he did it. He like went round one night and
I'm so glad I
piss on the
came here
corner
today.
flags.
That answers a lot of questions for me about the stadium.
It's a deliberate
Yeah.
policy.
he does it before every match now. This season of the Punch, Villa get promoted back to the Premier League finally. So which is, it's good for them, big club back in the big time. But after less than a year of soaking that up, the world is plunged into lockdown. And, while most of us were perfecting our banana bread recipes and doing tedious Zoom quizzes with our relatives, Jack wasn't going to let a pesky flu get in the way of a good time. So in March 2020, so like early days of the pandemic, he's pictured stumbling out of former teammate Ross McCormack's house at 8 a.m. with two different slippers on each foot.
He looks great.
He does, yeah.
Those calves again.
Yeah, the calves do look great.
He looks quite dishevelled.
A little bit sesh weathered.
Yeah. He's got like a slider on one foot, a white slider, and then what looks like a sort of fur-rimmed slipper on the other foot.
Is that like Ugg?
Like a fluffy slipper. Yeah. He looks good.
He's looking,
It looks like he hasn't slept.
Yeah.
Bit worse for wear.
Hadn't he that morning, or maybe I've imagined this, I swear, wasn't he one of the players who had they got all the celebs to do appeals to everyone being like, please stay at home.
yeah.
Straight to the sesh.
Yeah.
Him and Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker did it, and then 24 hours later, he was caught like sleeping with 3 escorts.
Yeah.
Who among us?
Yeah.
Who among
Who
us
am I
did-
to judge?
Yeah.
It was also early days of the pandemic.
Yeah.
As well. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was like 7 months in or something.
Yeah.
Not that you should do it any time, but
I can't be annoyed with him though.
No.
what, Jack Grealish or Kyle
Yeah.
Walker?
Yeah.
Either really.
Yeah. Anyway, so he stumbles out of the house, gets into his Range Rover and tries to drive off, but crashes into 2 parked cars. Doesn't get very far. Stunned neighbours are woken up and call the police.
I think that's at the point the photo's taken as well, because he's tried to get away quickly, and then he's obviously had to wait at the scene of the crash.
Yeah, he apparently he leaves his details with some of the neighbours and leaves before the police arrive
Good
there.
move.
He ends up getting an 82 grand fine and a driving ban though,
Wow.
which 82 grand seems a lot. I mean,
It's a small change to Grealish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
week's wages.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Also,
Maybe
drink
it's- is it-
driving.
yeah, drink driving is quite bad.
Yeah.
Villa find him as well. Ian Wright also pops up with a message. He says, "I have messaged him so he knows how I feel. I am very, very angry about it." Which,
Oh, because of the lockdown busting thing. Yeah.
I think it's that and the drink driving probably. But I don't know. Ian Wright always seems to pop up with the moral high
the
ground.
nation's
Yeah.
conscience.
Yeah, we told a story in Extra Shot a little while ago. He wrote a piece in The Sun a few years ago when it was Jack Wilshere or someone turned down a call up for England, and Ian Wright wrote a piece saying, "The next young player who says he does not want to play for England should be ordered to ring the parents of a soldier who has died serving his country in Afghanistan."
It's a bit much Ian, but okay.
That's what that grieving mother needs at that
Yeah.
point. Jack Grealish on the blower. I've got a sore knee. I think he's not. Ian Wright's the nation's conscience. He's like the nation's disappointed uncle.
Yeah.
Is the vibe I'm getting from that.
Yeah.
Love him.
Back to Jack Grealish. So not long after this, a photo surfaces of him in bed with a topless woman.
I've never
It's quite
seen
a funny picture.
Really funny. I have never seen this picture before in my life.
He's got he looks quite sort of like dishevelled. It's a cheeky grin on the face. It looks like a hotel room, doesn't it?
Yeah, from the quilted
Yeah.
headboard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
big giveaway.
Who's taking the pic? Is he?
I
Is there a
don't know.
third party?
I just noticed you can kind of see a reflection in
Oh yeah, there's like
in the
a.
lamp
Yeah.
there. So somebody, I mean,
Can we see
somebody clearly
anything?
is.
I guess there's someone else taking the pic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's.
Threesome?
I can't. Oh, that's the back of their head, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
her head. That's Grealish. So who's?
There's
Oh.
photographer.
It doesn't look like there's anyone there, but maybe
No,
it's
I wonder who that was.
maybe he's got a sort of selfie stick.
Yeah, because it doesn't look like it could be it's too close to be his own.
It's got to be someone
Yeah.
else taking that.
So has no one ever no one's ever said they know when this was or where this was or.
I've never
no
had
one's
any
ever-
context
No.
for it.
I've never
No,
seen it
I'm not
before
sure.
until
Yeah,
I saw
just a
this.
one night stand.
Yeah, it looks like a good time is being had by all in that picture.
Yeah, agreed.
Just harmless fun, really.
Yeah.
No, did he have a girlfriend at this point?
Yeah.
Yikes.
So he's been together with Sasha Atwood, his girlfriend, since they were 14, I think.
On and off.
On
is
and
what I've
off,
heard.
I think.
I mean,
clearly.
Clearly they were
Yeah.
off at this point.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
kind
because
of-
he has some other, I think when we get onto one or two of them, he has some other flings. And I think, yeah, just sometimes they're broken up and it's,
Mm.
yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well, fair
So
play.
an open relationship, maybe.
Maybe.
Dunno.
They've just had a baby.
Yeah, they have. So.
What would Righty say about this?
Well,
That's what I want
exactly, that's
to
the
know.
real question.
God, I hope he doesn't see that. So,
He'll be on the blower instantly.
yeah.
I am very, very angry.
Was this during lockdown?
I think
Oh, God,
so,
yeah.
yeah. Or around that time,
Oh.
I'm not actually completely sure.
So I'm making it out like that's a moral outrage. I don't give a
So I've got
fuck.
Ian Wright on the phone and he needs to know. Around this time, Jack does an interview with The Times as well, where he's asked what he would be if he wasn't a footballer. And he replies, am I going to try and do a
Go
Go on, give it. Have a go.
Have a go. What's it?
I'd be a club promoter. Tenerife or Ibiza. I'd be getting everyone into the club.
That's better than I was expecting.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Possible.
Out of
But it-
10.
Not really.
Be
I
honest.
would give that a 7.
I think,
Oh, that's
I think you're being generous.
I would do it. Show it
Go on
me.
then.
You go.
So,
I'd be a club promoter, Tenerife or Ibiza. I'd be getting everyone in the club. That's how I'd
that's
do
good.
it, yeah.
This is his breakthrough year, though, 2020. This is when he becomes a real star in the Premier League. He scores the crucial goal that keeps Villa up that season. It's also when defences turn to just kicking him to deal with Grealish. So he becomes the most fouled player in the Premier League. And when he's asked about this, he says, "I like getting kicked. It gets me going and stuff."
you're not going to do the accent.
Yeah,
Come on,
exactly.
we've got a quote here.
I like getting kicked. It gets me going and stuff.
Very good.
That's
Yeah,
really-
yeah, that was
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Anyway, he likes getting kicked, but he also likes making magic with the ball. And there's a famous win over Liverpool that autumn, 7-2. Grealish scores 2, he sets up 3 as Villa absolutely smash them. And his star just keeps on rising. I think this is the season where he becomes sort of a national celebrity because there's huge clamour for Southgate to bring him to Euro 2020 and make him sort of the centrepiece of the team. He becomes the poster boy for taking the handbrake off. That's everyone's demand for England. And he's also charming people off the pitch, especially in interviews. Here's a favourite one.
Dean Smith also says you're an encyclopedia of football. Where does that come from?
A what?
An encyclopedia of football.
I don't know what that means.
That's sort of like been, I feel like the modern reference, is it Cole Palmer?
Yeah.
It's going, what?
Yeah, he's
don't know what
taken over.
Yeah.
Also, it's the way you see his mouth stay open after
Yeah.
saying what. I guess encyclopedias aren't really a thing anymore, in his defence.
Yeah, but I mean, he would have, I suppose when he was in school, did he have Encarta?
Yeah, Encarta, I knew you were about to say
That was
Encarta.
the CD-ROM.
I loved Encarta.
Yeah, buzzing for
Had
Encarta.
like really emotional intro of like Nelson Mandela doing a speech. Let there be justice for all. Did you know
I don't know what you're
Encarta?
talking about. No, I don't know what you're on about.
How old are you, Ruth? Is it Ruth?
I'm in my late 30s.
Okay, yeah, same. So yeah, maybe you're a bit young for it.
Yeah.
What's your encyclopedia of? I don't know what my question is.
Yeah, do you
Why
know-
don't you know what Encarta is?
Do you know what an encyclopedia is?
Yeah. Oh well.
A what?
An encyclopedia
that
of
is.
football.
I don't know if it's that like just straight talking style, but Grealish is super popular in that England squad. They all love him. So much so that actually at the most recent Euros, I heard people saying that they should have picked him just because the players love having him around, which is quite a weird role to have in a football team, I think.
He's like the jester.
Yeah, the cheerleader, like sort of. Well, cheerleaders are twats in films, aren't they? But sort of
Yeah.
like, you know, the vibes guy.
He's the vibe master. I used to work at Urban Outfitters, and there was a role there when they first opened the shop that was just called the vibe manager.
No.
And Jack Grealish would have. So when he's talking about getting people into the clubs, that's
Yeah.
what he's doing. He's just making sure the vibe's good.
And what are they doing at Urban Outfitters? Just
The
welcoming.
vibe manager, they said they have to be there to make sure the vibe of the story's good, the music's good, the people are feeling good. You know, the vibe is good. Obviously, for someone as negative and toxic as me, I never got that job. I left Urban Outfitters within about 2 weeks. I was like, not for me. The vibes were off.
Do they have a sort of panic button under the desk that they can press when the vibes reach
The
a
vibes
certain
are at breaking point.
Doing the vibe temperature check every day. Yeah,
Have you been in that shop recently?
No, I haven't.
It makes you feel old. It made me feel old. The music's too fucking loud. The vibes are too good.
The vibes are off. Well, I mean, we're going back to, this was probably about 20 years ago when I worked there, and they were opening their I think it was a flagship store, but a store in Birmingham. And whether that role still exists, but that's definitely one for Jack Grealish.
Yeah, I
100%.
can't believe that's an actual job. Like
vibe
on your
manager.
LinkedIn, vibes manager,
Just,
a
yeah.
vibes professional.
I know. It's probably the sort of thing you would expect to see on LinkedIn, though, I reckon.
Yeah.
I'm going to check.
What do you think would be the dream CV that they'd be looking for in a
What next?
vibe manager?
I think it's like a personality thing, like a I don't know, if you met a vibe manager and they were charming, I don't know about that, but again, it wouldn't be a CV, it'd be purely vibes based.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just have
Oh
to
yeah,
feel-
that'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah. The CV, the vibe is the CV. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What's the job interview like? Do you just rock up with like a bag of cans and your Spotify playlist?
Yeah.
I think so.
Over to you.
Yeah. Just like in a bucket hat or something. Just get the vibe, see what the vibe is.
There's one man in that England squad who wasn't loving Grealish's vibes, which is the kit man. who Grealish apparently had a habit of screaming "fuck the Albion" at because he supported West Brom. And I think it started off as all quite light-hearted fun, but apparently it went so far that Gareth Southgate had to call Grealish into a meeting and ask him to stop. I don't know if that is the kit man complaining or it's just Gareth Southgate. You know what I mean? He doesn't like that.
He's sort of the opposite of the vibe manager, really.
He's keeping the vibes to a minimum.
There's another good video actually from that tournament of Grealish signing shirts, and it's interesting. We'll watch it. I'll link to it as well. It's interesting because of how he holds his pen, which is between his index and middle finger. Have you seen this?
No.
So look, he's signing it, and look, he holds it.
Oh my God.
So I hold my pen, I think. It's been a while since I held one, but like between...
When you're making notes in your encyclopedia. Yeah. you think you hold it. Yeah, okay. So it's between... He's like got it.
Yeah. So there. And obviously everyone was taking the piss being like, fucking hell, he doesn't know how to hold a pen. But apparently that is the more ergonomic way. And you save upwards of 90% of energy. I guess because your fingers are in there natural.
How much energy are you expending?
Well, do you not remember exams? It's
grip.
fucking tiring.
Did you do exams at school? Or did you just think in a hologram projected against
software.
the
And apparently, actually, that method of holding a pen is also used by Taylor Swift and Anne Frank.
Oh, yeah.
So he's in good company.
There's going to be something in that. I don't know whether Jack Grealish has Googled how much energy he can save off the pitch by putting his pen in between those two.
Do you think he just saw a picture of Anne Frank or Taylor Swift and was
and was like, I'll do that. Yeah.
So probably where the similarities are going to end. Anyway, he has a decent tournament. He makes some good cameos off the bench. He gets a bit of shit for not taking a penalty in the final, but he says afterwards that he'd said he wanted to take one. It wasn't his decision. But he comes out of that tournament with his star at an all-time high. He's had an amazing season for Villa. He's part of the England squad. He's sort of a national icon. And at this point, the big money comes looking for him. Word gets out that Man City are going to buy him that summer. And, you know, for Villa fans, this is pretty devastating. I guess they kind of knew this moment might come. But he's a local lad. He's supported the club his whole life. I think actually his great-granddad won the FA Cup with them in 1905 or something like that. Like he's Villa through and through. And they all wanted him to stay and become a club legend. And there are a few videos around the time of like he's doing autographs and they're like begging him, just being like, stay, Jack, stay. And he's just like silent, just, you know, it must be quite awkward that moment because in your head you're like, oh, I want to go and play for Man City. But not everyone at Villa Park is fighting to keep him. So, you know, faced with this dilemma of whether to become a club legend or to go and play in the Champions League with Man City, he decides to speak to one man at Villa who's been there and won it all, and that's assistant manager John Terry. And he goes to him and says, you know, John, I'm thinking of doing this. What do you think? And you think maybe John Terry would understand the dilemma and also would be trying to keep one of his star players for the new season. But apparently Terry just said to him, definitely leave. Run a fucking mile, mate.
What a Terry move.
Yeah, it really is.
As assistant manager of Aston Villa.
So surely you want your star player.
Oh my God.
And he does go, of course. Man City pick him up for 100 million. Most expensive British player ever. The press at this point say that he's going out with Emily Atack, the in-betweeners star. So this is obviously during an off spell with his girlfriend. And it's kind of made out to be like quite a sweet relationship. Although this is how the Sun charmingly describe it. Emily watched Jack in the Euros and thought he was fit. And for his part, Jack has always been a fan of hers since she starred as Charlotte Big Jugs Hinchcliffe in The In-Betweeners. Everyone who's been in The In-Betweeners is just like destined to never shake it off, are they? You know, like Jay, obviously.
My mate had a cameo off him, like for a birthday. And he will have been saying something like, I don't know, it's like buzzwankers or something.
Yeah,
or
clunge.
He's the, I think he was the first celebrity to make $1 million.
Yeah, the cameo
Cameo,
millionaire.
yeah. It's prolific.
And it's just him doing lines from it.
Yeah, that's it.
Did you ever see sometimes there are videos of him out and about and he just looks so tired and people are coming up to him being like, do you put the balls in when you shag her? And he's just like, can do, yeah. Looks so sick of it, as he would be.
I thought he quite liked it. I thought he did an interview where he said he kind of enjoys it.
Yeah.
I guess it does get tiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he obviously wants to move on now and not be known for that, but as does Emily Atack wants to not be known as Charlotte Big Jugs Hinchcliffe. But everyone who's been in that programme has struggled to like shake off the...
I saw Dom Jolly's show last night, and he was saying that whenever his phone rings when he's on public transport, everyone looks over like, is he going to do the thing? Is he going to do it? And he's like, I just have to answer it extra quiet just to make it. He's just like, hello?
Essentially just do the catchphrase.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't think it really goes anywhere with Emily Atack. I sort of heard rumours of it, and then it dies down. But meanwhile, back on the pitch, Jack finally gets a taste of Champions League football. And he's actually on the bench for the game against Atletico Madrid, but he has a great cameo. We're going to watch the clip where he's pictured, he gets into a little fight with Stefan Savic, who has a yank on Grealish's curtains. And in response, you just see Jack go, "You're a cunt." But the way he says it, let's watch it.
Oh, yeah, his eyes go, squints his eyes at him.
He's got like the high school fight eyes.
Yeah. I like that. He has a little yank on his curtains, that's not on.
Yeah. It's good to see a sort of fierier side, though, because you think he's just very friendly to everyone. He is still partying around this time. So there's a game where Pep drops Jack and Phil Foden because they've been out late partying. They turn up late for training, hungover. But when they win the league that season, Jack, having tasted glory for the first time in the Premier League, goes on a big old bender. And there's some nice clips of him at the parade, sounding pretty hoarse.
I said earlier on the coach, it's been brilliant to win my first title. I want to thank everyone. But the main person that I want to thank is Bernardo Silva for coming off in the 70th minute, because he was miles off it yesterday.
So good. On the 10 packs again.
Yeah.
After that, he fucks off to Vegas with his best mates. And actually, like, it's a bit of a shame. Like, he's so famous by this point that the Paps follow him there and they're harassing him. So there's a photo of him on a casino escalator looking fucking spangled. That's how I describe that.
Yeah.
Something about those like 24-hour casinos where the lights are just really bright. And he's so squinting into the camera.
He's got like those yellow sort of tinge sunglasses or amber.
Yeah. Although, little tip for Jack and his mates, if you do want to fly under the radar, don't pay your hotel a 5-figure sum to beam a 40-foot photo of you and your mates onto a high-rise tower, which is what they did. The Zouk nightclub had a huge projection that said, "Zouk welcomes JG and the boys." And it's like a photo of him and all his mates.
That is class.
And to be fair, if you were the boys, you're loving that.
JG and the boys, that is bad. I love it.
Yeah, I guess the Paps knew where to find him that night. Anyway, that winter, he heads to an even more exotic destination, Qatar. It's the World Cup. Grealish is at the peak of his powers. He's an England hero. And when the England team land in Qatar, do you remember they're greeted by those fans that everyone said was fake? Do you remember these?
No, I don't remember this.
Okay, we'll watch a video of them. Basically, every team seemed to be greeted by these fans that the Qatari organisers said were just genuine fans.
Sterling is our superstar. Boom, boom, boom. Kane is our superstar. Boom, boom, boom. Southgate is our super coach. Boom, boom, boom.
So basically, there was like, I still don't know the truth. There was this big scandal. Everyone was saying that they were basically actors paid. But then, like, teams like England, Brazil, and Argentina do have loads of South Asian fans. So no one can ever really get to the bottom of it.
I think they're real fans.
Yeah. What, who just live in Qatar and...
Yeah, I guess if you're
like Bangladeshi, Indian or Pakistani, they weren't playing in the World Cup.
Your country's not playing, so you just want to pick a big team where you know some of the players. But that explains why they don't know the tunes to some of the...
The only thing I'd say is all the major nations had like a posse of fans greeting them like that, and it was all quite similar, like the flags and stuff. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Be real fans. Anyway, at the team hotel, they got a traditional Qatari greeting. There were some exotic animals there, people in traditional dress. And TalkSport asked Jack to describe the greeting they received at the hotel. And he ended up sounding a bit like a 6-year-old describing what they did on holiday. He said, "There was a camel in that as well. I got on the camel's back. There was a bird. I don't know what bird it was. The camel fully stood up. I was so high, I was scared. I got on it, but I didn't think it would go as high as it did because I didn't realise how big it would be. And when I stood up, it was so big. Literally like those school books. What you did on the weekend.
He was scared. Oh.
Again, though, what comes through is just so fucking genuine.
Yeah.
It's like you watch interviews with other players, and the reason he feels so like normal is everything's so media trained.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way he answers questions, it is, you can see he's thinking about it, and he just speaks in a normal way.
Yeah. And that's probably why England wheel him out to face the press whenever things are getting a bit difficult. When the fans criticise England for a bore draw against the USA, Jack is sent into the radio studio where he tells an interviewer that England were the best thing since sliced veg.
I love that.
Yeah, the other day against Iran, you know, we were the best thing since sliced veg, you know, scoring 6 goals and then...
So we tweeted that at the time and he replied going, I said bread, it's the accent.
No.
But he said veg.
He says veg.
He has a real twinkle in his eye as he says it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Best thing since sliced veg. Anyway, England's hearts are broken on the field by France and Jack is off back to Man City.
He certainly is. And judging by his questionable grasp of English phrases at the World Cup, it was probably a little bit cruel when Man City's marketing team sent him up to record a message in Mandarin for the club's Weibo channel.
And then what do I say?
春节看大戏
How do I say the first bit?
CH 春春节看大戏 Yeah.
春节看大戏.
You have to do some bullshit as a footballer, don't you?
Yeah.
So I just want to play football.
Yeah. It's quite difficult, actually, that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean, if you ask me to say something in Mandarin, I'm having the same problem.
Yeah.
How do I say the first bit? So cute.
It's his expression the whole way through as well, just sort of, like, quite worried. On the pitch, though, major glory is on the way. So Man City have added to their already glittering squad maybe the best striker in the world, Erling Haaland. And him and Jack are sort of polar opposites in their approach to being a footballer. So Grealish spends his weekends out necking Grey Goose with Calvin Harris, and Erling Haaland's locked away in his cryotherapy chamber eating chicken livers and kale smoothies. There's a good Grealish quote about Haaland, actually. He said, after a game, he says to me, "Hey, Jack, don't go out partying tonight." I just tell him to shut up and go sit in his ice bath. Kind of sums up their relationship. Despite that, though, they kind of seem to get on like a house on fire, him and Erling. And that season, City win the treble, triggering Jack to go on the mother of all benders. So they seal the treble and they win the Champions League final in Istanbul, beat Inter Milan. And that night they party in Istanbul, which, fair enough, they've won the Champions League. But the following day they fly back to Manchester. City have put on a jet for them. And the club have also booked out this fancy Chinese restaurant in Manchester. So, a nice, elegant place. Probably hoping that their players are going to be nursing their hangovers with a jasmine tea and some dim sum. Unfortunately, though, only the mild-mannered Kevin De Bruyne, Ilkay Gundogan, and backup keeper Stefan Ortega show up. And Grealish and the rest of the wreckheads in the squad board a private plane to Ibiza.
So they're just three of them at a table for like 30
Yeah.
Oh,
That's quite sad.
Really sad.
Do you think they're waiting for the rest of them to tell us? Like,
Yeah, should we order? No, they'll be here. Yeah.
I'll be here any minute. Yeah.
Oh, the good
Right, let's
boys.
get some starters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the party animals jet off to Ibiza, spend the night necking cocktails and €12 bottles of water at Pasha, and then head back to the hotel to carry on the party. The following morning, there's a great picture of Jack Grealish being carried out of the hotel by Kyle Walker and some security guards. He's looking very worse for wear. Apparently
He's been carried.
Yeah, well, apparently when he got to the airport, the airport staff offered him a wheelchair. I just love this image of being waiting for your flight in Ibiza, and the trolley comes through with some stewards and just Jack Grealish passed out on the back seat. So anyway, after that, they fly back to Manchester, and there's no rest because City have organised their open-top bus parade through the city. So obviously Jack has no choice but to continue boozing. He almost falls off the top of the bus. There's
That would have
another
been quite an iconic way to go.
Yeah, very Jack Grealish.
go out on a high. There's another clip I really like of Bernardo Silva pouring drinks into his mouth on the bus.
As you can see, they are already getting the party started. Having a load of fun as they make their way to the beginning of the open top, where we hope it's going to be an open top bus parade.
That's great. In fairness, though, he's not the only one getting stuck in. So apparently Ruben Diaz puked in Jack Grealish's mum's handbag during the parade.
It's real teenage stuff. Is that like you just need to puke and it's the only thing you can find there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last season, Jack didn't play quite as much as the season before. City still won the league, though. He did, though, pop up in his ex-teammate Benjamin Mendy's trial. We won't go into too many details for it. It was a sexual assault trial, quite dark. Mendy has been cleared, I should say. He's currently suing Man City for unpaid wages, so they suspended him, or refused to pay him while he was on trial. At his employment tribunal, he claimed that he'd been unfairly singled out. So he said, several Manchester City first-team players, including the club captain, were all present at the parties I attended and hosted. We all drank alcohol. We all had casual relations with women. So he's basically throwing his teammates under the bus. His club captain is Kyle Walker, which you probably kind of expect by this point. But he also helpfully threw Riyad Mahrez, Raheem Sterling, John Stones and Jack Grealish under the bus. I should say there's no suggestion that any of those guys did anything wrong. Actually, it was the girl who accused Mendy of assault said that she'd shagged Grealish consensually the same night.
So he names Grealish and co just as like, yeah, they went to parties and shagged, which is a bit of a stitch up if that comes out while you're at breakfast with you. Also, Grealish just had a baby.
Yeah. Obviously, he was not picked for the Euro 2024 squad. Gareth didn't pick him. And Jack came out and said that it was the worst summer of his life.
Yeah. I was expecting him to head off to Wayne Lineker's beach club in Ibiza.
That's the first place you'd expect
Yeah,
to see him.
he has been pictured there in the past with naughty Uncle Wayne.
Such an interesting character.
We're going to do an episode on him next summer.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, perfect.
Maybe
perfect
the
time
Linekers.
for
The
it.
Linekers, naughty and nice.
Yeah.
But Grealish did used to hang out there, but actually this summer he was just like doing like sprints in the sun.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it must have been tough for him to see all of his teammates up there getting to the final.
Do you think you want them to lose in the final? I always wonder this.
Yeah.
If you're like, I should have been there.
I would have. Have you got any theories about why you think he wasn't picked, by the way?
He didn't have a great season.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it was a valid decision.
Yeah.
Maybe, it wouldn't have been. I don't think it would have been bad to pick him either, but I don't think it was like obvious that he should have gone. There's so many good players in that position.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. Just write that down in my football.
We were just saying that.
Yeah, I was
before we
saying
came
that
on.
when we weren't recording.
England's
obviously,
wide options.
His mood probably wasn't improved, though, by the fact that his face was plastered on every bus stop across the country. So he did this advert for Hellman's Mayo with the caption, "Up your game."
I don't remember seeing that at
That's
all.
a real slap in the face, given that he's been dropped
Yeah.
because he needs to up his game.
Yeah,
Wasn't there another one as well? Phil Foden. It was something like, "There's no position I can't play," and like the whole thing during the tournament was he was playing in the wrong position. It's like, why am I getting stitched up by these fucking adverts?
I wonder at what point then they do that campaign before they know that they're
Also, it was there for the
Yeah.
whole 6 weeks because they've obviously paid for it.
Yeah, really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably would.
Just
head
every
to
time he
Wayne
pops
Lineker's.
out to get a newspaper, it's just reminded of the fact.
Not having any fucking.
It's probably why he
mayo
didn't end
that
up
summer.
at Wayne Lineker's beach club. Just constantly just being like, up your game, up your
Well,
game.
he doesn't want to see the Hellman's Mayo.
Yeah, or just he's doing sprints in his back garden.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of brings us up to date, really. So he's having a good season again. He's sort of first choice for Man City this season. Had a baby recently with Sasha, which is
Settling down, do we think?
I mean, I reckon it's with his girlfriend, his long-term on
Yeah.
Are
girlfriend.
they married? I don't know.
There's got to be a point where she says, "Come on, we've had a baby. You can't be doing hippie crack and going to
They have
naughty
the
Uncle
balloons.
Wayne's and things." Yeah, I think changes. I haven't got a baby or ever had one, but do you think it changes? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a 1-year-old, and yeah, I mean, my life is quite different. It's sort of domestic drudgery now.
You're not living
Odd moment of joy.
You're not living the Grealish
No,
lifestyle.
obviously I was before.
Yeah.
The hippie crack's taking a back seat. The canisters are back in the cupboard. Yeah, all right. So we're at the end of his story so far. I guess because he's still playing, it's tempting to ask, like, where do we think he'll go? Do you think he'll sort of become a grand statesman? You know, who's sort of well-behaved family man, or do we think like that he's got another party phase in him?
I'm sure he's going to be an excellent dad, but I think he's still got a wild streak in him. I can see him unwinding in the beach club over the summer.
Yeah,
with Wayne.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, having a girlfriend before has not really stopped him from having wild times. So I think there's still a bit of that left in him. I think in the future he'll end up being. Do you see him as like a pundit in the future?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. I think I'll see him as like a Wayne Lineker, like getting people into the clubs, like his dream job would be.
Yeah.
Or maybe doing something like Take Me Out, you know, Paddy McGuinness style.
That would be great if he was
something like that.
Breakout.
He's an entertainer.
Yeah, it's quite rare actually that footballers do like break out of the sort of just like football media.
Dion Dublin.
Homes under the hammer. Obviously.
I could see him doing like a Strictly or like a.
That would be great. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Footwork. Yeah. Where do you think he ranks as like an English or just a football heartthrob? Bigger than Bex? Obviously not as much of a like celeb, and probably not as good.
I prefer him to Bex because he's got more personality. I don't think Bex was as naughty as Grealish. Well, I don't know about that, actually, thinking about it. Yeah.
We have done a Bex episode.
Yeah, which would imply that he was much more naughty.
Yeah. I say a heartthrob, I'd say. Probably Bex is bigger, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's way more boy next door, isn't he? Basically, that's part of the appeal with Grealish is that he's like more real, like he talks like a normal person, whereas Bex is just like a mega star.
Yeah.
I think the celebrity culture back then was a little bit different when Beckham was a sex symbol. It was just, I don't know, quite like obsessive.
Yeah, it's not so much like that anymore, is it? And as well, having a famous wife as well, like a Spice Girl wife, slightly different. Yeah. And also as well, because from Birmingham, I suppose, but being from Birmingham does give a bit more of like an attainable edge for people like my mom.
It's not like Bex has got some fucking amazing accent.
No, but I'm just saying, you know, you think, is he from like Essex or somewhere?
Yeah,
I think London, whereas, I don't know, our accents, he's a bit more, just feels a bit more, down to earth, I think.
Yeah, but I was always tempted to think Bex has got this like American Hollywood accent or something, and then you have his mouth, you're like, oh yeah, he's English.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think that's all we got time for, guys. We'll have to do a sequel when Jack is this dancing elder statesman. Ruth, we'd love to have you back for the darts episode we discussed.
That would be my absolute pleasure, knowing that you've already done Tyson Fury, John Fury, you've covered my other sporting area. I mean, other than that, you've just got Ian Botham's penis.
We've done Botham as well.
Oh, no.
And we've done his penis, yeah.
And did you look over his autobiography, Don't Tell Kath?
Yes.
The best autobiography name. Don't tell Kath. Well, she's going to read the book, mate, so it's a bit late. It's a bit late.
Also released about 3 years after he had an affair. You know the story we told on that
Kath
as well.
already knows.
He gets her to forgive him for having this affair with this waitress, and then they go for this like makeup lunch, and he says it's super awkward. He tells the story in his book. It's so awkward. We didn't know what to say, and the waitress at the meal was quite good looking, and he didn't know what to say. So to break the silence, he just goes, "She's very attractive."
Oh my!
That's like, are you fucking joking, mate?
Botham.
That dick pic. That is the greatest dick pic of all time.
Oh God, I never want to see another. Encase that in amber, burn it into my retinas. It is class. Gets such you can post that anytime, and it gets such a response.
The caption as well.
What are you? Is it what are you thinking or what are you thinking? Kiss kiss.
Yeah. ... Kiss.
Dot.
What are you thinking?
Perfect. But yes, I'd be really happy to come and do a darts episode.
Yeah,
would be an absolute.
Probably not so many heartthrobs in that one.
Well, just depends what you're into.
Yeah, you're a Bobby George fan?
I am a huge Johnny Clayton fan.
Oh, okay.
Because he's very cheeky, and every time he hits a 180, I should save this for the pod, he points like right down the camera. It's very attractive.
Okay, yeah.
And he's got a great big belly like capital D.
Capital D.
I love it. I think that the thing is with darts is like all the players have their own unique charm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's do that.
Yeah, I would love to.
Please come back for that. Thanks a lot.
It's been a pleasure, thanks.
Do follow Ruth on Twitter, dank_Ackroyd.
That's it.
We'll link to it in the show notes as well. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
And thanks for listening.